Hello, everyone. Welcome to another show, IT Career Talk with Professionals. And today we have a retention marketing manager. So, our guest is none other than Alan Buenaflor. Alan, can you greet our audience?
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Alan Buenaflor. I work with Globe. I'm the retention marketing manager for prepaid broadband. So that's Globe at Home prepaid Wi-Fi. This is our other side. This is our newest product, LTE Advanced prepaid Wi-Fi. So
Right,
this is the fastest ever that we have right now
right.
for
And guys,
prepaid.
disclaimer ka lang to, no? If medyo desync, hindi to dahil sa internet ni Allen, obviously. Dahil to, mahina ang computer ko, mahina yung sa akin, no? So, oo. Pero sa live, maganda yung maganda yung real time namin. No? Itong recording lang talaga yung mahina. No? Disclaimer agad. No? Right. So, can you like slightly explain lang what your role is? Ano yung marketing retention manager or retention marketing manager?
Okay, so a retention marketing manager is someone who takes care of your customers. Basically, I make sure that the customers that the company has acquired uh, stay with us as long as possible and that they have the best experience that we can give them as much as possible. So, that includes checking their experience with our product, our network, our service, what their experience is with the channels that they use to engage with our product. So, for example, since this is prepaid, for example, with how they load their prepaid Wi-Fi. It also includes after sales. So basically, the whole process except discover and buy, except that part and the acquisition part. So everything after acquisition until exit, and then even win back sometimes because a customer relationship it does not always end after you exit. Sometimes it can go back again, right? So
Right.
you're able to resurrect some customer relationships sometimes. So yeah, so that's what I do basically.
Right. So, what are the skills and or basically what value skills? What are the requirements to be in your position? Parang dapat
um
dapat ba magaling ka mag-English? Dapat ba marunong ka ng IT, at least internet, no? Marunong mag-networking, ganun. Ano ang what is required?
the basic requirement for a retention marketing manager, I think, is
Passion, okay.
passion and dedication. Because, as I said, it's a bit of a breadth of. There's a lot that you have to think about and a lot that you have to consider. Um, and you can't satisfy everyone, right? Your basic requirement is you don't have to always know exactly what to say. But I believe that you always need to think of your customer. That is where the passion and the dedication comes in, because um, if you always think of your customer, you have that compass and you'll know what you need to do. Um, you'll talk to the people you need to talk to. You'll address whatever needs to be addressed. uh yeah, so the way we talk to our customers right now, for example, it depends on your market, it depends on your customer. Always think of your customer, because that is the starting point.
Right.
So, like for example, prepaid, hindi ka dapat laging nag-English dyan. The way you
Mm.
communicate to them, dapat medyo Taglish, medyo, yung angkas na Twitter, something
Mm.
like that.
Aha.
Medyo, lalo na ngayon, pandemic, tas ang daming kung ano-anong nangyayari with the government and everything. So parang, it has to be a bit
parang grounded, no? Grounded
yes,
experience.
yes, so much. Of course, it helps to have a little bit of a technical background because it helps push, the needle on some projects. For example, project management has been very helpful. Knowledge of some systems because, of course, we work with vendors a lot. We have many different vendors, and sometimes they would say that the project would need to be delayed or something like that. But of course, if you think of your customer, hindi pwede. I need you to do something about it.
Right.
And then they will tell you, but ma'am, this is our problem, like this, like that. So I can have that discussion with them because I do have an IT background. So why don't we do this, for example, something like that. So in a way, yes, of course, it helped me a lot. But I think baka some of the hardcore IT people in your audience would say, no, ito, nag-sell out, pumunta sa client side. Something like
naman.
that.
I don't think so, no?
Yeah. But
what we're showing here na IT is very varied, no?
Yeah, super. Like, I've been to clients. I've been in client side, and which is now, and I am in client side rather, and I've been on vendor side.
Right.
And technically, it's not much different. You would always have that same passion. It's just that for a different customer, right? So, for example, for me, for a retention marketing manager now, I still do bring a lot of the things that I learned in IT and when I was working on vendor side.
Right. So let's talk about ito na nga yung journey mo, no? Let's see how you became the retention marketing manager, no? How you acquired your skills. Paano mo even pinili yung course mo? Di ba?
Oh my gosh.
Ano naisip mo at that time? Nagustuhan mo ba yung course mo during that time? Paano mo pinili yung first work mo, no? Right. So doon tayo magsimula.
Sige, so let's start sa course, I guess.
Yeah. Paano mo napili yung course mo?
Okay, so to everyone's information, my course is Management Information Systems. So it was marketed to us like in the leaflets, in the flyers, like in the booklet thingy. They didn't exactly say what it was, but the description was very good.
I agree.
Yeah, we're in the same course, so
yes.
course I think you agree. And then when we were there already, it's like, okay, they explained to us what it was. Basically, it was a mix of their management engineering program and their computer science program. And those are the two of the hardest programs in the university. And I'm like, okay, can we do this? So I came from a very humble little town called Taal, Batangas. Our computer lab only has like 20 units, so some people had to share. Computer subject is not exactly, cutting edge for me back then in high school. Our computer subject mostly was like make a PowerPoint with animations and stuff like that.
Right.
That was in third year high school, right? So when I came to the big city and the big university, I'm like, oh my God, everyone knows so much more than I do, right?
But
especially with computers.
Siguro, why did you not take management engineering lang, or at least the management side? Why did you decide to parang mix it a bit, no?
First, like stay with that course, you mean?
No, management engineering lang. Kasi MIS, as you mentioned, was mix of computer science and management but you decided you wanted both. You wanted to be in the middle, no? Why not?
Well, I didn't know that then. When I applied, I didn't know that it was a mix of those two courses. And I didn't also know that management engineering was regarded as like the course to be.
Wow. Okay.
When I was there, that's what I found out. Like people in management engineering are like, we are management engineering.
Right, right, right.
So, yeah. When I was in second, third year, actually, I was thinking of shifting out and taking literature.
Mm-mm-mm.
But my mom said, "Oh, finish this muna." You know how like the old people thinking is, they're afraid that if you switch to another course, you'll keep switching until you don't graduate.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's been 7 years and you're still switching. So she's like, finish this first. Yeah, and when I was in my third year, actually, that was when I more of realized that it's not exactly a mix of the two. It's a
Mhm.
totally different thing.
Right, right.
But you do apply a lot of the concepts for management. You do apply a lot of the learnings from computer science, but it's a totally different discipline, so to speak, because if you talk to hardcore programming people, they don't understand what we say. Like when we talk about systems the way we do, um, they don't understand it because their view is just programming, right? So and when we talk to management people as well, sometimes they don't get what we say because what they see is just numbers, like the bottom line. So
Right, right.
that's what they look at. So I started actually to appreciate management
Mm.
information systems because of one of our teachers, Miss Sandra Lovenia. She really showed me, uh, yeah, MIS 101. I remember it very well. Even if I'm always chatting with friends about anime during that time, I still learned a lot. Um, and this is really like it's a very different discipline because it trains you to look at a big picture
Mm-hmm.
and see the little components, but also not be too ingrained into one item or one specific part of the whole picture. So it gives you that flexibility, that training to look at the big picture. And I think that has been very, very, very helpful with my experience in the real world, when I was working
Right,
already.
right. And after you graduated, now that you have this appreciation of that MIS as a field, how did you look for your first work, or maybe what were your criteria to also look for your first job?
Criteria. I didn't really have a criteria. It was more of like because that week, career week,
Mm-hmm.
I was so busy. I really did not get to submit resumes.
Mm.
So I did that afterwards, and it was much much harder. I graduated without uh, a specific place to go to yet.
Right.
Um, yeah, and then so I actually like tempt, so to speak. I tempt somewhere. Let's not talk about that for 6 months, and then I took a break for 3 months, and then during that 3 months, I submitted resumes like a lot, and then I actually got a call back from Indra. Wait, at that time it was Soluciona,
Mm-hmm.
Philippines. And apparently it was from that time before when um, not during the 3 months that I was unemployed. It was during like way back, like before I
Right, right.
graduated. They got my resume and they just got to it now. So
Mm.
um, they called me in for an interview and an exam, and uh, they told me I was going to. So it's my first job, right? Exactly. So technically, it was my first job, first real job, because I was just temping before. And then they told me about the project. It was all very vague for me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of, okay, you'll be reporting in Meralco, you'll be wearing corporate, you'll have to report during client hours because basically you'll be reporting to our client, which was Meralco.
Right, right.
You'll have to abide by their rules and things like that. Then you'll have trainings and so being a very very new employee,
Mm-mm.
they are pretty much free to do whatever they want with you, basically. So I was assigned to this project. It's called Executive Information Systems.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a very, very good experience. Basically, what we did was this was high level reporting to executives. It helped them it helped them decide on things on a daily basis. So
Mm-hmm.
we reported on their basic KPIs. We reported the balance scorecard. So it was actually a very big project, because if you handle something like that, you have to be able to get a lot of sources and
Right.
distill all that information and make it very easy for executives to understand.
Right. No, and it seems like, currently, the current landscape, this is more, well, current landscape, this is more like the data scientist. This is what's hot right now, no? It seems like it's very similar to that, where you're crunching numbers for the executive decision. Was your role here the manager of the project, or you also like the data scientist, that you were actually the one grabbing the information as well?
I wasn't project manager yet. I was just very new. So
Mm-hmm.
I actually came in as a business analyst.
As a
So
business
more,
analyst, uh-huh.
yeah, as a business analyst. So more of, okay, you have to talk to everyone, all of our sources. You have to determine and you have to determine the exact files and the timing
Right.
and the frequency, and
Mm-mm.
you have to make sure that they are all there when we need it, because if not, then call them up because you know top management needs their data. So okay, so yeah, so I did that for like
Mm-mm.
3 years, and though on the second year I actually expressed to my boss, my superior at that time, that I would like to try, or I would like to shift career tracks to a more technical uh, track.
Mm-hmm.
Business analysis was nice, because you learned a lot, because you learned the processes that happen in the back end. You learn, okay, why this number is like this.
Mm-hmm.
You learn a lot of things when you're a business
Right.
analyst, because you will have visibility on process. You will
Mm.
have visibility on the pain points of each data source, like, okay, if and you'll know, like, you at the end of it, if you're a really good business analyst, you'll be able to synthesize all that information, all that knowledge, and then you'll know right away. For example, why is my electricity bill so high?
Right.
You already know, just looking, like, just 1 second. Oh, it's because your consumption is like this, or oh, it's because the prices, the supply that we got was very high this time, because something like that.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So you moved to a more technical role, as you mentioned. So what
Yeah.
role was that?
So I became a reports developer,
Reports
and
developer. Okay.
yeah. So our system then was Oracle. We used Oracle Decision Systems.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we had full suite Oracle databases, and the front end is Oracle BI, or Oracle Business Intelligence. I think it's very different now with Exadata and all that.
Right.
I don't even know if they're still using Exadata, or if it has totally transformed. But that time, there was Oracle BIEE, Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition, yeah. And then I became a reports developer, and there's also a lot of learning with regards to that.
Mm-hmm.
We also designed databases and tables for our use, because there's a very different design for when you're capturing operational and transactional data, and also a very different design when you're designing for high level data, like what the executives use, right? So
Right.
and then the how do you so this is we if yeah, if you're familiar with the triangle like that, the operational data, transactional data is here. The the executive level data is like that. So the one in the middle, that was done by our data warehousing team, all the transformation and extraction of data. And then at the top, we distill it to get the pertinent information.
Right.
Yeah. So I did that also for 3 years. I became a team leader already at this point. Our project was actually very successful because prior to the team assembling, so to speak, prior to that, like when I came in, they were having like they were having a really hard time, getting to launch the EIS, or the Executive Information System, because, well, one, you have to, it's also a culture change, right? So they're used to their Excel reports, and you have to also have that view of the change management, right? So it's a culture change that, okay, now you have this new tool, please use it. But even if you say that, if they're not used to it, or they don't see the value in it, or something like that, it will not fly, right? Your project will not fly, even how beautiful and wonderful your technical and technically superior, your product is. It will not fly if you don't handle change management. So that's also one of the very important things that I learned in that project, right? So I became a reports developer for 3 years also. So I've been now with Indra. So the company transitioned from Soluziona to Indra. Now with Indra for 6 years, and I'm still in the same project, which was EIS, right? And that's a bit unheard of in our industry, and also in Indra, because usually you get assigned to many projects, or you work on a project for 1-2 years, and then you get rolled off, assigned to another project, something like that. I had some engagements with like POCs, something like that. Sometimes we get tapped for proof of concept and for bids like that. So I worked on a bid with LTO before, and then some other government bid, some other agency, government agency bid. I forget already. So yeah, and then so I was talking with my superiors, and suddenly they said, okay, maybe it's time to try to expand. Okay. So yeah, so in my 6th year, so about July, I got assigned to a new project. It was in Mandaluyong, and it was Globe.
Right.
So,
okay.
yeah.
I can see where this is going. Okay. So you got assigned to Globe, right, on a new project.
Yeah. So I was assigned to be a team leader of this project, because the team leader resigned, and they needed a replacement, and I was one of the people who were looking at grooming for that position. And another thing is because I live nearby to Mandaluyong, so I'm like, okay, let's try it. It was not a very good experience. Yeah, because so the team was it's the MIS team. They called it the MIS team. So basically, they are a data warehouse team. So they run scripts regularly, actually, and a lot of the work could be automated. But during that time, they still relied on actual people running each and every script. If someone was absent, that script will not run.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so some data will be delayed and things like this. It was very manual, and the technology that they were using was some a technology that was very unfamiliar to me. It was SAS, right? And it was SAS based. which was pure programming. It didn't have a graphical user interface, unlike the IEE. I can read code, of course, but that the syntax of SAS is also very different. Also, you need to be able to know the data sources, right? Because it's closer to, like, it's basically you're manipulating and, you know, transforming the data. So I told my superiors, okay, if I'm gonna stay here in this post, one, I need to know SAS, because if you're a team leader, but you're just like an operational team leader, but you're not a technical team leader, you will not be able to help your teammates.
Your teammates, yeah. If they have
Your
a problem,
team itself.
they won't be able to ask you for help, no?
Yeah, they won't be able to ask me for help. I can like run interference if someone was like being very irate and saying, "Oh, where's my data already? Blah blah blah. Why is it delayed?" I can do that, but you know, to make things actually faster, I felt like I didn't have the tools that I needed, and the company said, Indra said that okay, they would give me a training, but it's already been 3 months, and I have not heard any schedule of training for SAS for me. So I approached my project manager and I said, "Sir, I don't think this is working out. For the betterment of the team, I think we should hire a different team leader, someone with the technical skills and someone who can also have the leadership skills, you know, to be able to to fully help, like the whole holistic
fit to that stack in that sense, no?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm very thankful that my project manager listened to me, and so after additional 3 more months, we found a good candidate. He actually helped. He asked me to help, you know, select the best candidate, and we were able to get that candidate. And then I stayed with him for a month and a half, you know, for all the turnover and everything. So yeah, and so and then so it was already 6 months when I left this project. Yeah.
And so interestingly, no, I thought you got in that project and then eventually got into Globe, no? But it seems like it was a different ano pala, it was like, oops, no, not pala. So how did you get into Globe then? No, what happened then?
What happened actually was I got pulled in again for another Globe project, but a different one this time. So remember, I was already on my technical track, right? Under Indra, and then my not even my boss, like one like higher than my boss, 2 levels higher than my boss, talked to me and said that, oh, there's this new big project with Globe, and since because you know you spent some time there, you know, 6 months, we think that you would be a very good fit.
Right.
And okay, so what is it? You will be a business analyst.
Okay, business analyst.
So I'm like, but I already transferred to the technical track, right? So why am I going back to business analysis? And he said, because we need you to go.
Okay.
We need that's the need of the project, basically.
Right.
You can still work on a lot of the technical things, like, you know, with the POCs and everything, but for now, it will be a leadership role. You will be lead business analyst, senior business analyst, and you will have a team of analysts.
Right.
So I guess it was still a progression, but like at first I was like, okay, I'm not so sure about this, right? But then I still went to the interview, and the funny thing is, in that interview, the interviewer asked me, so because he saw in my resume that I was in the technical track.
Yes,
And he
yes.
said, "So why are you here applying for a business analyst position? And did your boss just tell you, oh, go there, get interviewed?"
Right? Oh, that's hot seat, hot seat. Uh-uh.
I know. And I'm like, of course not.
Of course not. Okay.
No. Yeah, my. And I said, um, no, it's not the reason why. It's because if you look at also at my resume, I've only been with Meralco. Because at this time when I was in that 6-month project for Globe,
Right.
I was doing 50-50 with Meralco and Globe. So I said, see, I've been with my Meralco project for 7 years. And I would like to have more projects, different projects, and also in a different industry, and what can be farther from utilities and energy than telco. Right? So when they said that there was this opportunity, even though it was a business analyst role, I said, okay, I think I will be a good fit. I also had some sort of experience coming from the MIS team when I handled the MIS team. So yeah. And so the interviewer, which ended up to be my boss, said, okay. And another thing he asked me, okay, this is a good tip for people who are gonna get interviews. He asked me like a question. It was not like directly like this, but basically the essence of the question was, are you looking to stay?
Are you looking to say? All right, right.
Something like this. But that's not exactly how he phrased it, right? But when I distilled what he was trying to say, basically that's what he was asking me. Because in which something I realized, afterwards, telco industry has very high attrition.
Okay.
Yeah. And they were looking for people who were looking to stay because it is very hard to train someone for like 1-2 months, and then in six months they will already leave.
Right.
It's very costly in terms of time. Yeah. So when he asked me that, I actually felt like this person actually cares if I stay or not.
Yes.
He actually also wants to teach me. He, that's something that's important to him, because if you really just, if you will be pulled out like that, he told me this afterwards, if you will be pulled out like that, we need dedicated resources. That's what he said, number one.
Yes,
that's the clients. That's his requirement. Dedicated resources and people who are going to stay. Like, he doesn't want that, okay, we can't do anything because he has to be pulled out and assigned to some other project. So I understood that. Yeah. And then, oh my gosh, lots of things happened. I became team leader of this project. Project was called Optimus, so it's basically it's like a transformation for Globe at that time. And then, so I was a team leader. I had a project manager. So we were 2 team leaders that report to her. She was a new project manager, actually just specifically hired for that position. And 3 weeks after she was onboarded, she actually died.
Oh, wow. I thought she resigned, but wow. That's a different
No,
story, no?
she died. She
Oh
died.
my goodness.
Yeah, she had lupus apparently, and then there were complications. I was really so I took it hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I was just texting her. Like for example, Wednesday I was texting her my updates. Friday I found out she's dead. I'm like, oh. Sorry, can I say that? It's like, it really, like, you're hit by the bus. So our basically our section chief came and told us the news and things like that. So basically we didn't have a project manager again. And she said, how would you like to be project manager? And I'm like, she asked me if I would like to be project manager of the project.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not sure I'm ready for that because I've been a team leader. But being a project manager, it's different. You have different KPIs, you have different responsibilities. And she said, and she asked me what or how I saw myself in the future, and I said, yeah, of course, I've always seen myself as being a project manager of a project, but like 3-5 years down the line in my career, like vision, so to speak. And she said, okay, think about it, but I really think you can do it, and I really think you can do it. And if you need help, we're always here and things like that. So okay, so I was also I thought a lot about it, and my project manager who died, he was a very adventurous person. Even if she had lupus, that did not stop her from doing what she wanted. She did scuba diving. She was like a, what do you call that? Paddy, something like, yeah, like she was certified, something like that. Yeah, and she always went into all these, adventures in like spelunking and mountain climbing. But like supposedly when you have lupus, you don't do those things.
So basically, this gave you a little courage to take up the role.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I felt like, life is very short. You could be texting someone, and then 2 days after they're dead.
Right.
So I said, okay, let's do it. I told my manager, okay, let's do it. I will try. I'm not sure if I will succeed, but I will try. And so I became project manager, greater responsibility, and this was actually propelled me into this position, wherein a lot of the senior managers in Globe, saw me, and they were able to see, my skills, and I had, like, they were able to see how I run my meetings, and yeah, because I was still business analyst, right? So, and then 3 months in, the head or the director of the project told me he wants to hire me for change management manager. And I said, oh, change management manager, no.
Yeah, okay. From adventurous to no, okay. And
why was that? The reason is, okay, so the reason was I was a vendor employee. And I told him, you need someone for change management. You need someone who has who, one, is a regular employee, right? Number one. Number two, you need someone who has been in the company for a bit of a long time, because they would need to know ins and outs of many things, and they would have to have some sort of influence, right, in the company, because you have to effect change, right? Who will I be reporting to? I asked, and he said, I will be reporting to him. Change management is not an easy task. It has to come from like top level,
there must be a champion.
Yeah, and this champion has to be of a very high level, and like C-suite actually, or near there. And the project director, my boss at that time, he was actually also he's an expat, right? So he wouldn't. I saw that if the change management would stay with him, it will not fly.
Okay.
So it's a bit of a I don't know if it's a strategic move on my part, but also I saw many pitfalls to that strategy, and there wasn't any assurance that things would change, because change management has to come from higher up. because it's a transformation. They're doing a new system and everything. So I said, I'm sorry, but I think so. I gave her my reasons, and sort of my recommendation. Unsolicited though, but they don't mind. I mean, the people in Globe, they're very open to suggestions, and if you have ideas, you can just speak your mind.
Right.
And even if I'm just a lowly vendor employee, and they're the project director, like there's no such thing like that. Like there's no like rank or hierarchy. I mean, it's not a very traditional hierarchical company. Unlike the previous company they worked for, which is Morocco, it's very stringent.
Sure.
So yeah, so I was 1 year into the project, and then that is when another offer came from Globe, and this time so I was offered a position of a business partner. So basically, a business partner is basically a champion for the new system that we instilled. So being part of the project team when I was in the vendor side, I knew many of the ins and outs. Though I still had to study a lot, of course, because I was in a different part of the project at that time. Though I had visibility in other parts. So the product that they launched already, I had to familiarize myself with it, and I had to make new connections, make new relationships. Being a business partner, being a champion of a product, you have to have that kind of understanding and rapport with people. Like, what do they need, for example,
Right.
and you have to be able to give it to them. Yeah, so I was in still in a technical capacity, so to speak. I actually also did reports. I learned a new tool, Cognos, because that was what Globe was using at that time. So it was a good role, but it was very stressful because a lot of the times, so I handled many clients within Globe internal, right? I was the business partner with the most clients, but I only had 2 people under my team. It was because of it. My client base was broad. Like I had a lot of clients, but their requests were not all of their requests were a lot. Like per client, there were some clients that had 1-2 requests a month, and then I had 3 major clients who had a lot of heavy requests. So yeah, so they only gave me 2 people, and since I was a bit technical, I'm like, okay, I'll try to learn this. Sometimes when my people were absent or they had too much to do, I said, okay, I'll do this now, because I couldn't go to a client meeting with nothing. Right. Yeah. So I have to have at least something, either the solution already or a part of a solution, something like that. And everything was so very fast paced. Like I really had to struggle and to keep up, and I had to put in long nights to be able to learn stuff so that I would be able to better service my clients. And as I said, there will always be that passion, that
for
comes
the customer.
But this,
and I can see this is why eventually you became the customer, in a sense, customer retention manager, right? Because of that passion for the customer, they saw, and then you got that role. No? I wanted to ask lang, and it seems, no, correct me if I'm wrong, that the IT field or your IT background gave you the tools to be quite hands-on a little bit. No, you're able to interact with the tools and the change and the management side of the course, management information system, gave you the skills naman in terms of the business and in terms of analyzing the overall big picture. No, you would say parang basically you had the best of both worlds, and the
Yeah.
IT field helped you grow in your career.
Yeah, it was a very holistic training, I guess, that we got, that I was able to apply very much into the real world.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I can see IT is not just a hardcore programming, as you mentioned. It's also about impacting change, customer obsession, and even some data analytics and data crunching. No?
Yeah, because when like now, I do a lot of data crunching. Even as a marketing manager, I use Tableau prep. When you're obsessed, I like the term that you use actually, because we use that. When you're obsessed about the customer, you try to find out as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And with prepaid, it's not easy because prepaid, you don't have exactly a customer identity, unlike postpaid, right? Like when you're a postpaid customer, you have this application form that you fill up with your
Yep.
name, your
Yep.
address, everything. For prepaid, it's not like that. So we have to look, with the limited information that we have, and we really have to obsess about the customer to be able to give them the best experience.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So before we close this, no, it's almost an hour already of your journey, no, and you have a very interesting journey, no, and it shows how varied a career can be, no. I know you wanted to. I have two questions lang for you. I know you wanted to skip a little bit on the part after college, but I think it's important also for the youth to see na even if you don't get a job immediately, or you're graduating and you don't have a job yet, that it's okay. Parang eventually life just falls back into it's not a race ba, parang ganun, no? Parang right. So
Yes, of course.
mm,
Yes. We all have our own path. We all have our own journey, and it doesn't mean that someone in your batch is already at this level. It doesn't mean that you have to also be at that level. Everyone has their own journey, and um, it's really not healthy to compare
right, right,
journeys because you don't know anything about what a person is going through. Like, it might seem like they have everything, Instagram perfect life, so to
yes,
speak.
yes, yes.
But deep inside a person, you don't really know what happened or what is happening in that person. So um, the best way is just to keep on doing you. Yeah.
Yeah, so my last question probably here, no, given your journey, that now that you parang if there was a back to the future kind of thing, like if you were to give yourself advice during that time that you were newly grad, no, what advice would you say, no? And maybe there are some these advices the current graduates or soon to be graduates would pick up of. That would be our last question for you.
Advice to my newly graduated self, basically.
Yes. Oo.
Yeah.
Now that you've learned all of these, no, parang wow, the yeah, parang ganun, no? Parang
Mm. I would tell my newly graduated self,
not things
don't.
like yung ano na, like for example, oh, put this lotto number ganito because it will show up, no? Nothing like that, no? Parang
I won't
nothing
even remember. I don't even know how to play the lotto.
okay, yeah, yeah.
So anyway,
Mm-mm.
so my advice to my newly graduated self is, do not be afraid.
Not be afraid. Okay?
Do not be afraid to go after the things that you want. Do not be afraid to fight. Do not be afraid to try new things, even if things that you think you're not ready for. You I think it's best expressed by this agile principle: fail fast.
Fail fast.
Because yeah, because you just try and try always, and then if you fail, then you see it right away, right? And you learn from that, and you will have a lot of experience like that. Because when I started, I didn't pick it. Remember, it took me 3 years before I was able to say to my boss, like, I want a technical track. Because I wasn't very expressive before. I wasn't as as much of a go-getter, and even when things were offered to me, I would, like, because I'm a bit of an overthinker. Yeah, so a lot of the times I would pass up on opportunities, and so don't be afraid. Speak your mind. You have a lot to contribute. If you end up looking like a fool, then it's okay. You end up looking like a fool. The important part is you learned, and you learn from your mistakes, and you grow from that, and you don't repeat those mistakes again.
Right.
And things will, if you know yourself, those kinds of experiences will lead you to greater knowledge of yourself and what you can do. Like, you will be so surprised, I can do that pala, right? So
Basically, don't limit yourself. Don't be afraid of failure, no? Because parang maybe you're limiting yourself because of fear, no? So if you remove that
exactly.
fear factor,
Yeah,
it's
because
easier.
of fear, because of, like, inexperience, or insecurity. I'm not good enough, like that, or I'm scared to fail. That's the usual, eh. But of course, we're scared to fail. We're scared to look like idiots. And I'm saying, I'm an idiot. I like to say that a lot. Like, I'm an idiot. So, I mean, if I think one of the best things to know is that you don't know everything. No one can know everything. So you always keep learning. Yeah.
Right.
So, and that's what will give you what you need in this life.
Right. So as we wrap up now, again, audience, if you wanna follow and have further questions, you can always leave it in the comment box below. No, type it out. We'll try to read it and get to it. But before we close, Alan, do you have any last shout outs, no, or anything that you wanna say, lang?
Um, Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm glad to have been able to share my journey, and show that, even if you're in a technical course, or in an IT course, you can still how do you say, create a career that you want, and to show that if you have that passion, like, wherever you came from. Like, I have a teammate now. Her background is food and beverage, like HRM. And she is with Globe now, handling after sales with me. So it doesn't really matter where you come from, IT or non IT, actually. What matters is where you're going. If you know where you want to go, then go there. You have everything that you need.
Right. And again, audience, thank you so much, and hope you learned something new. And of course, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thank you.
Thank you.